for Open Line Friday. Your chance to join the conversation and talk about what you want to talk about. Call the Jackson Electric Open Line at 672-KROE. That's 672-5763. Now, your hosts on the Jackson Electric Open Lines, Steve Sisson and Floyd Whiting.
Good morning and welcome to the Jackson Electric Open Lines. I am Floyd Whiting, here with my friends Steve Sisson, James Timberlake, Aaron Linden, and Madison Danforth. Go ahead and give us a call, 674-4443, 672-5763. Now, before we get to the poll question, Steve, you've got a little bit of an announcement. Gene couldn't be with us today. He's having a bad hair day.
That's what I understand. And that,
those can come on the radio.
Those can be rough. But he did want us to mention that the Western Film Series continues at the YO Theater with another Sunday show at 2 o'clock. This week it's One-Eyed Jacks, hosted by Craig Johnson.
So get on down there, check that out. We talked about it last week. A lot of this has to do with, Western heritage. Mm-hmm. And seeing those old movies on that big silver screen, it's different than watching them at home on your small screen. Even if you have a big screen, it's just a little bit different to be in a theater, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The smell of the popcorn.
Right,
there's the gum under the seats.
That's what Gene likes to point out.
The kid kicking your chair.
Yeah. But there's something magical about it.
There is.
If there's a movie coming out, and I really love, even the thought of it, let's say like a continuation of a series, I have waited in lines for upwards of 6 hours. Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a reason that they waited to release the new Top Gun film in theaters and didn't just go to streaming. Because that experience was worth the wait.
That had to be done in the theater.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Avatar had to be done in the theater. Mm-hmm. You can go back and watch it on your TV, but it's not the same.
Yep. Yeah. Matter of fact, there's been some leadership changes up at Disney, and one of the critiques over the former leadership was that he made the wrong decision when it came to certain movies going straight to streaming as opposed to waiting for theaters to get back in business.
Right.
And I do want to say I have friends that own theaters, and it's a lot harder to run a theater than you think it would be. And
I think it's pretty hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's really something to do. So make sure you get on down there, check it out.
We're going to look back and say, for years from now, we're going to look back and say Top Gun Maverick saved the theater industry.
I don't know. It helped.
It helped.
It gave it a nice shot in the arm when it needed it.
It was an injection for sure.
Yeah.
I will admit I have not seen that.
Oh, my God.
Floyd White.
I know. I was a Top Gun fan when I was a little boy.
You will like this one then.
It
does the original justice.
4 times in theater.
Yeah. All right.
4 times is still not enough.
And then a nice thing about the Western Film Series is they have a host that kind of helps set the scene and gives you some more insight into the film. Mm-hmm. So you see it with a new perspective other than just coming in blind and watching it for the first time, not knowing anything about it.
Right. You might go in there knowing some facts you didn't know beforehand, which changes the way that you look at maybe even just a scene. And that's something that I've actually learned. I will open IMDb.
And for One-Eyed Jacks, it's Craig Johnson, author Craig Johnson.
Yep.
And I'll open IMDb during a movie that my wife and I will be watching at home, and just read facts and trivia. Mm-hmm. Not enough to give it away, because if I want to know who the killer is, I want to be surprised like everybody else, right? But I do. Hey, did you know in this scene? Did you know that was ad-libbed? It just kind of adds stuff to it.
It gives you more appreciation, more perspective on the film itself.
It really does. Yeah. All right, folks. So I want you to know that January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And here in the state of Wyoming, the U.S. Attorney's Office is partnering with Governor Mark Gordon's Human Trafficking Task Force, our own Sheridan Uprising, the Wyoming Division of Criminal Investigation, and the Wyoming Division of Victim Services to help raise awareness about these crimes. That being said, let's go to the poll question. Steve.
The First Northern Bank of Wyoming poll question this week was, are enough resources being allocated to combat human trafficking in Wyoming? And we had the yes, no, undecided options. Of those responding, 54% said no, not enough resources are being allocated. 26% said yes, and 20% undecided.
Go ahead, give us a call. Tell me what you think. I'm going to start right out the gate. My vote was no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same here.
Mine as well.
Me too.
I'll tell you what. For years, the only laws that were even really on the books that helped our law enforcement to battle this were all federal. There has been certain state statutes that have come forward since then, but unfortunately, they are just not enough. In too many situations, law enforcement, who we all support, are out there doing their best to try and combat this. But if the statutes aren't there, if the resources aren't there, it's a hard fight.
Well, and if the prosecution isn't there,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, you can bust people all day long,
The
but if they're
accountability.
but if they're not actually punished, why would they stop?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's one of the biggest issues. There's an article from the Gillette News Record from September 22nd about a sex traffic ring in Gillette that was discovered, busted up, whatever. All 4 of them were handcuffed, detained, talked to, ticketed, and released.
Yeah, I don't.
To what end?
I just don't understand it. All right, so I almost said something I probably shouldn't have. All right,
If it has to do with guns and shooting them, I wouldn't be opposed.
You're not alone in those thoughts.
You're
Right,
not alone
yeah.
in those. I realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Now, when it comes to wanting to be involved, getting caught up on the situation, where are we at least give me a foundation I can build off of, someplace I can go. I'm going to tell you right now, Uprising is a fantastic organization who is working very hard to raise awareness, to educate our children against it, and to educate our leaders on what is actually happening. The one thing about human trafficking and a lot of this sex work is it happens so far in the back of the alley that many of us are ignorant of this. And I will admit I'm far too ignorant. Even as a journalist, as a professional, I'm far too ignorant of what's going on. The things that we don't see. And for some reason, it is so difficult for some people to have a conversation revolving around this.
Well, it's uncomfortable.
It is. It is.
You have to sit with the uncomfortable.
You
Well,
really
and-
do. don't
You know, in my mind, I always go back to this. Like, it's 2023.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We haven't progressed as a society beyond that. I mean, that's insane to me that these things are still happening in today's world in America. That's the craziest part
And
of this.
we've kind of talked about this, like the whole Ukraine situation, where we think, aren't we beyond this, as a society, as humanity?
Haven't we left war behind?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. That's just so barbaric and so old. But I think we have this veneer of civility that we put on society, but it's not very deep.
Right.
Yeah, I think you scratch a little bit past the surface, and there's still that same barbarism that's been part of human beings since the dawn of human beings.
Unfortunately, our technology, our civilization, our advances have all changed. We haven't. We are still the same humans that have been around since Sparta,
right.
since the Greece.
The issue is some people are just still wired that way.
Yeah.
Like normal, quote unquote, air bunnies, people have moved on and been like, oh, well, you don't murder people. You don't sex traffic people. Like, none of us would do that.
Right.
But there's a whole sect of society that does. Because, Madison, what did you say the industry is worth annually?
The industry itself, I gotta find it. Forced labor, and this is from the National Human Trafficking Statistics. And forced labor in the private economy generates an estimated $150 billion in illegal profits per year.
150
That's $150 billion.
billion. Well, to that end, though, on December 27th, President Biden signed the Countering Human Trafficking Act of 2022. In that bill, it authorized $14 million and 45 employees to carry out work against this. Yet we're funding how many hundreds of millions and 84,000 new IRS agents? Really? I think taxes are a little bit less important than this. They get 45 people on a national basis.
People's
Not the
lives
government size, my friend.
Oh, man.
it's a different story when people's lives are at stake.
Right.
But no one wants to change it.
Yeah.
But that becomes part of the weird issue is nobody wants to change it. Why do they not want to change it? Because they're making $150 billion, and bad guys do bad stuff for bad money.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a huge industry, and it's obviously protected. Now, what does surprise me is it's just the idea that state laws don't exist in so many different states,
Right.
revolving around this crime.
Well, it does seem like there's a lot of slow movement here. Like you were talking about, the Biden thing was just last year.
Well, it was like literally not even a month ago.
Yeah. And I was reading some stuff about other federal programs that they're just now getting started. And it says, well, we will do this. We will work towards this. But they're just now ramping up. Nothing is being done yet in those departments.
And see, so, you've got the people on the front lines who are actually combating this, and they have no tools.
Right.
They have no laws that they can actually look at someone and say, you just broke it, and I got you.
Right. And you're going to
And
prison.
you're for 25, 30 years.
Not a ticket and released.
Right.
Come on. Well, and Floyd pulled out this in the big stack of stuff.
Right.
For those of you watching.
Yeah.
The Wyoming 2022 report card on child and youth sex trafficking. Wyoming overall graded for this is an F.
32%, if I or
37.5%.
That's a solid F.
That's
a solid hardcore F.
It's like my math grade.
It's like if we even tried at all, we could do better than that.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Anything.
That's minimum right there. That's below minimum.
Well, but I think that speaks to busting these people and no prosecution happening. Why are they going to stop? They're not. I mean, if I
no
could walk
consequence.
into a store and take whatever I wanted and they go, you shouldn't do that.
Slap
I go,
on the
okay.
wrist.
And then I come back and I do it again because why would I stop?
And part of
only
that thing
that,
is what you were talking about, the lack of laws that you can charge these people with.
Yes.
Exactly.
And it's the idea. It's just good business. Mm-hmm. If you're a bad guy, it's someone, maybe a whole team of yours goes to prison. I'm earning billions of dollars
Right.
a year by committing this horrendous crime. So what? I can find more bad guys. I could pay them. I don't care if I don't know if you'd call it like a chapter or a section of my team gets pinched. It doesn't matter. There's no laws that even exist that can come get me. They just got the guys who were in the room.
Right.
And the majority, I'm sure, of these overbosses or whatever you want to call them probably aren't standing in the room.
No.
Right.
They're so far removed.
So
Well, especially now, and actually the pandemic played a bit of a role in this because of all the closures and the social distancing and all the working from home. It kind of isolated all these typical venues for trafficking to happen. And so they went online more than usual. And it accelerated very quickly there with social media. We kind of what started us talking about this was TikTok and how that can be used as a tool for this.
Yeah.
And that's really accelerating right now. It's up like 125%, I think, from last year.
Well, another thing that is a crazy, just like where lots of trafficking happens is sporting events. So sporting events, this is from the Deliver Fund. They are a nonprofit, just human trafficking fund. And sporting events are also a common venue for sex trafficking. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 10,000 forced sex labor workers were brought to Miami for the 2010 Super Bowl. Similar reports have been made about the 2014 FIFA World Cup. The gathering of large groups of people, as well as tourists willing to spend the money, is what makes these large events so lucrative for traffickers. So they take these huge events and they're just like, they pawn these innocent people off.
Yeah. And here's the deal: sex sells, and it sells well. It is, what do they call it? The first profession. Sex.
The oldest profession.
The oldest
Yeah.
profession.
Yep.
That's right. Now, I want to make people understand that I am not against consensual, legal sex work.
Right.
I'm not.
But
But
85 to 90% of this is forced.
yes,
This is people being forced into it either by
coercion, drug addiction.
drug addiction
bullying,
is one of the big
abuse.
ones. Absolutely. And in Wyoming currently for the 2023 legislative session, there's nothing there. There's no bills that address this at all. And three of the main places in Wyoming for the trafficking is Casper, Gillette, and Rock Springs. And they say a lot of it it's kind of loosely tied to the extraction industry.
Yeah.
Coal, gas, whatever. Transient workers coming through, working that job. They don't have time to find somebody or whatever. So that it's perpetuating this a lot in those areas.
Well, I mean, it's just history repeating itself. If
Right.
you look at the railroad industry going across the United States as we were founding the remainder of this country, houses of ill repute were in every western town.
Spring up next to the tracks.
You know, you had cattlemen to serve. You had, cowboys out there who were lonely. They were coming up from Texas. They were coming from the east, and there wasn't a lot of women.
Right.
So, as you said, Aaron, I might not be here long. So it doesn't matter if there is a lot of women.
Right.
That's not
right.
the need I'm trying to fill. And so you do what you got to do and you move on. It's the same thing with the extraction industry. You go where the money is.
Right.
Go where the men are. And I'm not just accusing men, because there's women who commit this crime as well.
And the interesting thing is, yes, sporting events are huge. You know, they're always talking about that around Super Bowl time, World Series, whatever. But there was a report as well that the Davos is happening, right? Like all of these, 1,000 private jets are flown in and they're talking about the environment, whatever. There was a huge infill of sex trafficking happening around that event. So it's not just, like transient workers. I mean, you've got some serious elite people. One of the guys that was busted in Gillette was a prominent businessman.
Wow.
So it's not just, the dregs of society, feeding on the dregs of... No, it's usually some pretty high-profile folks that
had the money.
They've got the money, and they think they're untouchable.
And they've got the influence.
Right.
They've got the influence to remain hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what it is. They're remaining hidden. And I got to go at our quick commercial break, but I do want to say thank you to Terry Markham and her team out there at Uprising for helping to bring this situation and awareness of this crime and a whole series of crimes to the people of Wyoming. She's gone around and she's actually spoke to a few of those city councils, bringing information with her that basically says, look, this is what it looks like in your town.
Right. That's the thing, too, and I know we got to get to commercial, but it happens everywhere. You think it's not happening here? You're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens here. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. This is the Jackson Electric Open Lines on 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
Remember when your mom used to say, "Don't break your arm," patting yourself on the back? Well, if you ignored her and broke your arm, then the Health Nut is the place for you to get all healthy again. Every inch of the Health Nut can make you feel better about yourself. The soup, sandwich, and deli bar and smoothie so good you'll forget you even got a broke arm. Remember when your mom used to say you'd forget your head if it wasn't attached to your shoulders? Well, we can't fix that. But most everything else at the Health Nut on Sheridan's 5th Street.
Hi, this is Christy Kinghorn with Buffalo Realty, talking about 205 Wallace Creek Road near Buffalo on 40 acres. This 4-bedroom, 3-bath home is move-in ready, has spectacular views, kitchen has tile floors, granite countertops, open living room has vaulted ceilings with glass doors leading out to the large deck. Master bath includes 2 vanities and a jet tub plus a separate shower. Call me, Christy Kinghorn at Buffalo Realty, connecting people with property.
Yeehaw! It's time for the First Northern Bank Roundup. Roundup Savings Program, that is. Hi, this is Amber Shirley, here to tell you about First Northern Bank of Wyoming's new Roundup program. All customers with a debit card attached to their checking account can enroll in the program. Any purchases made with your debit card will be rounded up to the next whole dollar, and the excess amount will transfer into your savings. Stop by your local branch to sign up today. First Northern Bank of Wyoming, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Face it, you don't want to do your own plumbing and heating work or repair. You need a professional, and that is exactly what you will get if you work with Rapp Plumbing and Heating. Being fully licensed, bonded, and insured, you can rest assured that they will take care of your repairs and maintenance in the very best way possible. call Wrap Plumbing and Heating at 429-1196 and rest easy knowing it'll be done right. This is Dan Rapp with Wrap Plumbing and Heating. And as we like to say, if you find a leak, let me take a peek.
Legacy Diamond and Gems is so thankful for your patronage in 2022, making it their most successful year ever. Striving for excellence at Legacy Diamond and Gems is always their top priority, and they are taking important steps this year to improve their overall efficiency and preparing for their complete store remodel. They are improving their service with new store hours, 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., Tuesday through Friday, and 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday. Closed Sundays and Mondays, Legacy Diamond and Gems, 11 North Main Street in downtown Sheridan.
This public service announcement sponsored by Pilch Engineering, serving Sheridan and Johnson counties.
It's time for kindergarten registration. This is Rebecca Adsit with Sheridan County School District 2. If you have a child turning 5 years old on or before September 15th, please register your child for kindergarten at your neighborhood school anytime between the hours of 8:30 and 3:30, Tuesday, February 7th through Thursday, February 9th. Please bring immunization records, a birth certificate, and a current utility bill. If you have questions, please call your neighborhood school or me at 674-7405, extension 5108.
Good morning and welcome back to the Jackson Electric Open Lines. I'm Floyd Whiting here with my friends Steve Sisson, James Timberlake, Aaron Linden, and Madison Danforth. Give us a ring, 674-4443 or 672-5763. The topic this morning is the state of Wyoming devoting enough resources to combat human trafficking. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Awareness Month. If you want to know more, and I'm going to tell every one of you listening, you do. The film, Sextortion, The Hidden Pandemic, will be screened here in Sheridan on February 2nd. Each event is going to include a screening of the film, followed by a panel discussion on current trends here in the Cowboy State. And the cherry on this thing is it's going to give you tips on how to keep your kids safe against this type of exploitation and human trafficking. This is who is being targeted through influencing, through bullying, through coercion, through drugs. It's amazing how these predators will reach out to children.
And it's not just the negatives. Like, they will form emotional connections and build trust. Like, you share on social media the stuff that bothers you, and they use that information to build trust and confidence, and then, you have that grooming start, and it accelerates quickly.
Absolutely it does, especially when you are a troubled youth who feels that they don't have anyone to reach out with, and then all of a sudden this individual pops up on your chat screen.
Mm-hmm. And they're your friend.
And wow, you guys have so much in common with me. That's amazing.
And you know what's scary about that is, I've seen it, where you have 16, 17, 18-year-old girls, and there's some dude that's 52, 54 popping up. Hey, was wondering, we have similar interests. Would you want to grab coffee? It all starts out innocently, but it's not. It's the grooming phase of everything. And that goes into as well. I mean, there's shows streaming right now on Netflix that hook these younger girls in. These shows are TVMA, but they're geared for like 14-year-old kids. And they think that these are like 16, 17-year-olds in this show, and that this is appropriate, being played by actors that are in their 20s.
Yeah.
And it's all part of that it's okay phase. And it's like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
And that's the big issue, is not many people are standing up and saying, no, this is wrong. And it's blatantly wrong.
Yes.
Not only is it blatantly wrong, and not only is not enough people screaming out about this, there are very few laws to protect our children against it. And, I would make a call. Make a call to your lawmaker, especially your local state lawmaker. They have emails. They have phone numbers. You can easily find them. Send them a message. Let them know. Be the brave individual to bring a series of bills before a committee The numbers are here. The argument for these types of laws shouldn't even have to be made,
right?
But the numbers are here to make it.
Well, I think like the fact you have to think about it. If that was someone you knew or like your family member, you would want everyone to know about it and to do something about it.
That's right.
But because it doesn't happen here, or it's not,
or you're not seeing it.
Yeah, you're not seeing it. You're not going to do
or
anything.
It doesn't affect
You're just as harmful as some of these people. Like you're not helping anything.
Inaction
Yeah.
is still inaction. All right, we've got a caller. Go ahead. You're on the Jackson Electric Open Lines.
Great topic to go on today. Just over the border up in the reservations, they're having a huge problem with sex trafficking going on. But I figured I'd see if I could bring things a little full circle here. Because we know about Jeffrey Epstein, and the FBI knew about Jeffrey Epstein for decades. Jeffrey Epstein's executor of his estate is Bill Gates's lawyer, and Maxwell,
Ghislaine Maxwell, yeah.
Yep, her sister is one of the chairs of the WEF that's going on right now in Davos. And right now, their escort services there are booked up. So to say that, another policy is going to change things is kind of questionable. Something should be done, but there is a group, Truckers Against Trafficking, and they're trained to spot and recognize these people that are being abused and give them basically an underground railroad to get them to safe places.
That's fantastic news. All right. Thank you for your call.
Well, and there's so many places and nonprofits that are trying to do this job, but they can't do it on their own because they're a nonprofit and they don't have lots of funding or they don't have enough support. A21 is a really good campaign that influences and gives information, and they do rescue missions for people overseas that have been trafficked. And there's another organization that I was a part of called Dressember. And it was a thing where you wear a dress every day in December. It's cold in Wyoming. It's freezing. It's really hard. But the flip side of it is there are people being trafficked and doing things that they don't want to do every single day.
Yeah, right.
And you raise enough money and you send that money back to Dressember, and they're partners with A21, and they send rescue missions out. And so getting to be a part of one of those rescue missions, like my money going there, was one of the best things that I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
And it was so rewarding.
You knew it was being well used.
And they give them counseling when they come back. They don't just rescue them and drop them off because there's so much trauma mentally, physically, and they give them therapy, and they just rebuild their lives pretty much. They give them jobs. They do everything.
And now, see, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up, all right? And that's the victims.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Getting them out. That's just step one.
Right.
Now we have, in some cases, an entire lifetime of trauma that we have to work through to somehow, get this person to a point in their mind where they can be, live a life worth living. And I say a life worth living because just being a productive citizen means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a life worth living. And that trauma, that therapy, that counseling, that's for life. That's not, I'll be over this in 6 months. No, this is a lifetime thing. Now, I do want to say that Wyoming is making efforts recently to step up when it comes to dealing with the mental health crisis in the state of Wyoming. Floyd, you used the word crisis. Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's there. You might not see it every day. You might not even realize that the guy sitting next to you is suffering as much as he is, but he's a tough Wyoming cowboy, and he's not going to let you know. We have to rid ourselves of the stigma. We have to rid ourselves of the stigma that talking about sexual abuse sexual assault, human sex trafficking, or human trafficking for labor in any way is a stigma to talk about. We need to be able to face the problem ourselves before we put the gloves on to fight the monster. You've got to at least acknowledge that it's in the room. And so that's my challenge to you, Wyoming. That's my challenge to you, Sheridan. That's a challenge to myself. We should all be more active. We should all be more vocal. We should all be Terry Markham and her team up at Uprising. And I honestly believe that it could all, I mean, look at Uprising. Look at all that they've done in the short amount of time that organization has existed.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Which also tells you that it's that big of a problem.
Yes.
That in that short time frame, all of the work that they've done is because it's there. It's having to be done.
And just imagine what they could do if there were 3 times as many people working on that same goal.
Exactly.
Or the funds given to them.
An army. If you had an army, could you imagine the ground that could be covered? And, Uprising's right here. Right here in Sheridan. This is their HQ. So I think that we, as a county, we as a region, could be the guiding light in this whole thing. And that, you know what? If it takes that type of ownership to get active, then let's do it. Whatever it takes to be active against these crimes.
Is it just complacency, though? I mean, so many people
I
are
think
like, you know what? It's not affecting me directly. I don't want anything to do with it.
I think it's lack of awareness. To be totally honest with you,
Maybe.
let's get serious.
I think so too.
I think
and then
it's just lack of awareness.
And then on top of that, not knowing what to do if you are aware of it.
Now what?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Floyd. You've given me the numbers. Now what do I do?
Yeah.
One thing that I absolutely love to do at the end of all my news stories, and those who read them know, I'm trying to put the power back in your hands. To learn more, click here.
Right.
To see more, click here. To make a donation, to attend the event, to get a ticket, click here. There's a reason for that. Okay? It's so you can take the information that I have presented to you and you can get your boots on the ground if you want to. It's so that you know where to go from here. I can only really open the door on certain things and say, look, any journalist can only really say, if they're worth their weight in journalistic practice, here's the information.
Right.
You do with it what you want. And so having that click here takes you to that individual's website, no matter what it is, and they're going to help you. They're going to show you this is how we're doing it. And I can tell you right now that Uprising, they're in the schools. They're trying to bring an awareness and an education to our youth. Hey, if someone's starting to talk to you like this, pay attention. That's not a friend.
Absolutely.
That's not a friend. And they're going to all these towns. Not only that, but they've got individuals working with our own DCI. That's movement. That's movement. Got to educate ourselves.
I just think the scariest thing about this is, back when I was a kid, you would, don't go by the van with the guy with the puppies or whatever.
Right.
But now it's so insidious because it's on your phone.
It's plain sight.
But it's happening in people's homes and they're not even knowledgeable about it with their kids.
Video game console.
Oh yeah.
All these MMO video games where you get on there and you see your kid playing whatever video game, shoot them up.
Right.
On, with his buddies over throughout the entire world. Predators have found that this is how to talk to young boys right there.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be his gaming buddy. I'll earn his trust through that. Hey, I was there for you when the other team did that.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
To an adult, that just seems crazy. Well, to a kid, that's his whole world.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easy to just take a picture from the internet, copy and paste it, and put it as your profile.
Boom.
Yes.
I actually read an article about it was that situation, a gamer. And it was this girl, 16-year-old girl. And she thought that this guy that was playing with her all the time on this video game was like her age and they had a lot in common and stuff. And he was like, well, let's meet up at the mall and have coffee. They meet up at the mall. He's like my age and she's like 16. And she's like, well, I thought I was meeting somebody my age. Yeah. And they hit it off though. And she ended up getting trafficked.
No kidding.
And it was insidious, though. It was like, well, I'm older, but, we're good at the game and blah, blah, blah. And why don't you come over and, hey, try some meth, and ended up getting her hooked on drugs. And that was it.
And there it was. All right, I got to take another quick commercial break. You're listening to the Jackson Electric Open Lines at 930 KROE and 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
Plug into Jackson Electric and you'll feel the power. If it has anything to do with electricity, anything at all, call Jackson Electric. Commercial, residential, agricultural, it makes no difference. Call Jackson Electric. Jackson Electric does high-efficiency LED lighting and fire alarm systems installation. Wiring a home, wiring a business, new electrical service, or enlarging existing surface. Call Jackson Electric and you'll see the light at 1851 North Main in Sheridan.
I'm with Candace Crane from Sheridan Honda and Power Sports.
Tommy, hi. Listen, I know you like to be stylish, but the neon colors from the 90s are just not in anymore. It's time to upgrade your snowmobile gear.
Okay, you gonna hook me up?
Of course. We have monosuits, bibs, coats, beanies, base layers, goggles, helmets, and it's all 25% off.
Wow, what a deal.
And not only that, but all manufacturer accessories are 10% off. So if you've been wanting to make your side-by-side street legal or add to it, now's the time.
Shop the great deals today at Sheridan Honda and Power Sports.
You opened your account with your local Sunlight Federal Credit Union, but maybe you find yourself on vacation or going to college or are moving away and you wonder how will you access your account? Well, don't worry, it has never been easier. You can access your account at more than 5,000 co-op shared branch locations in all 50 states, just like you were at your home credit union. To find the nearest branch, visit coopsharedbranch.org. Sunlight Federal Credit Union, banking done local no matter where you are. Sunlight Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, an equal housing lender, building a brighter future together.
The WYO Theater presents National Theater Live's production of Book of Dust, Thursday, January 26th at 6 p.m. This gripping adaptation revisits Philip Pullman's fantastical world in which waters are rising and storms are brewing. Two young people and their demons find themselves at the center of a terrifying manhunt. And as the waters rise around them, powerful adversaries conspire for mastery of dust. Tickets for Book of Dust are available online now at wyotheater.com.
Well, Frackleton's is finally seeing that light at the end of the tunnel where we open back up. That small fire really had some big consequences. Anyway, the construction is very nearly completed and Frackleton's is already gearing back up for our reopening. That said, we're looking for some front of house and kitchen staff to join our award-winning Frackleton staff. Stop in to apply. Just a couple more weeks, then it's good food is good mood time at Frackleton's Fine Food and Spirits, Main Street, downtown Sheridan.
Football fans want football food, so head to the Oasis Lounge, even on Sundays, because they open at 10 a.m. with your favorite football foods and drink specials. The Oasis Lounge also has the NFL package, so all the games will be on. Call your friends and make plans for Sunday football at the Oasis Lounge inside the Ramada Plaza in Sheridan. And be sure to sign up and play the Pro Football Pick'em at SheridanMedia.com because you could win this week's prize, a $100 gift certificate to the Ramada Plaza.
Good morning and welcome back to the Jackson Electric Open Lines. I'm Floyd Whiting. I'm here with my friends Steve Sisson, James Timberlake, Aaron Linden, and Madison Danforth. Give us a call, 674-4443 or 672-5763. January is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Even if you only take the month of January, educate yourself a little bit more. Look out. Find this information. It's out there. This entire month is here to help bring awareness. And then once you actually see the gravity of this situation, find a way to take action. Steve, tell me how technology's helping that.
Yeah, I think it was last week you mentioned that these things are tools, and we've talked about how the tools are being used to recruit people and all that. But those same tools can be used to fight it as well. And even though the government may be kind of slow to act, there is a government anti-trafficking organization. It's thorn.org. And they have developed technology that helps protect children from sex trafficking and other forms of exploitation. It's available only by request to law enforcement, so it's kind of protected information. But they have a massive database that helps quickly identify and locate people at risk. It helps law enforcement by filtering out misleading information. And so far, it's identified over 17,000 children who have experienced sex trafficking. It's reduced the investigation time by 63%.
Fantastic.
And,
Fantastic.
and time is, ultimately important in these things.
Absolutely.
AI is probably one of the most promising developments because that technology can use image recognition to identify people and objects that traffickers often use, like fake IDs, like Madison mentioned, with false information to secure fraudulent documents. So these AI-based systems can be used to help identify these fakes, and they can do it instantly. You've sometimes seen under the hood, once in a while, Instagram or Facebook, instead of the picture, it'll show like a description of the picture. And it'll identify what that picture is about, who's in it, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've probably seen like someone took a picture that may have you in it,
right?
And you have to say yes or no. That's that kind of technology at work, and so it works really quickly. It can even look at things going on in the background of videos, like say a car pulls up outside a hotel with some guys loitering nearby. It looks suspicious. It's happening in the background of a video that someone posts on social media. It can identify that kind of stuff. And then those video analytics can be used to track the source and movement of stolen goods, which are often used in sex trafficking. So it works a lot faster than humans when it comes to identifying and blocking illicit content like advertising and marketing that shows up on social media sites. It identifies images. It reduces the backlog that law enforcement agencies experience. So there's some positive developments going on there, and that's only just getting started.
And see, that's the thing is it just blows my mind that a lot of this stuff is only just getting started.
Right.
But I said I'd try to remain on the positive here. So it's getting started. It's being used.
And,
it's successful.
and it will accelerate very quickly.
And it has to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
Someone has to do something at some point, and that seemingly is happening, which is good, but why did it take that long? Let's get it going.
Yeah, exactly. Now, real quick, Madison, organizations that I can help out and join.
So there is a great organization. It's called International Justice Mission. It's one of the largest organizations fighting human trafficking through policy change. And IJM looks bigger at the bigger picture, working to dismantle the system of human trafficking. And then in context, police, judges, and officials are ill-equipped to enforce anti-human trafficking laws. And IJM's lawyers train local leaders and law enforcement to respond to this crime. And you can just subscribe. They have an email chain. They have just anything that they can look at. And then another great place is the Love Justice International. And it helps intercept potential victims of human trafficking as they cross borders. So that one is more international. And by monitoring strategic transit points, LJI identifies trafficking networks to stop trafficking as it occurs. And to date, they've intercepted over 25,000 individuals and helped authorities arrest over 1,000 suspects.
Wow. And speaking of local leadership and policy changes, you know these people. You
right.
see them on the street. You know your state senators and reps. I mean, they're in town. Reach out to them. Talk to them. You see them having coffee. Stop by and say, what are you doing about this? Barrasso, at the U.S. level, great guy. He's in town often. Reach out to him. Send him an email. Give him a call. See what they're doing at the national level about this. You know these people.
Be fired up about it. Be fired
up.
Exactly. And if we had an entire city or an entire region of people who were fired up, even if it was just for a month, imagine the power that we have. Imagine the power that you, sitting right there, you have. Contact these local leaders. I've met and spoken with many of them. And every single one of these individuals is ready to take action. I mean, if they knew the numbers, if they knew this is what we were wanting, if this was a priority on the top of their list, more would be getting done. And they need to know it is a priority on the top of your list. It is a priority on the top of my list. Steve, local.
We've talked about this organization quite often during the show today, uprisingwyo.org. Great place to start.
It is a fantastic place to start. And excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, folks. This is a situation that we should all be upset about. And I'm sure we all are. But, as Steve once told me many times.
I once told you many times?
You once told me, but you've told me many times.
He didn't listen.
Yeah. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. In reality, though, it's movement. I might have the information, but now what do I do with it?
You go.
Now what kind of action do I take? Well, it doesn't have to be money. If you don't have money, if you only have time, find a way to give Uprising some time. Find a way to give some of the other organizations that Madison has talked about some time. Take some time and email your legislator, your lawmaker, your senator. 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
5 minutes, folks. That kind of time, okay? Done enough by enough people. 5 minutes.
That's the thing, though, is one may not be impactful. You get everybody listening, or a percentage of the people listening, to do it, they're going to pay attention.
That's right.
That's their job.
That's right. They will listen, especially when we flood their phone calls, flood their emails, flood with text messages. I'm telling you, these folks are ready to take action. They just need to know, yep, I got the entire state behind me. We're going to get hard on this.
Right.
We're going to get hard on this. I want prison sentences upwards of 15 to 25 years. I want life. I want punishment for those who were caught trafficking. I want punishment for those who were caught buying the service in the first place. That's what I want. I want to see justice done, and I want to see the victims taken care of once we get them found. But we got to get them found. All right. This has been the Jackson Electric Open Lines on 930 KROE, 103.9 FM. Sheridan.
From the simplest to the most complex electrical applications, Jackson Electric has the knowledge, the experience, and the reputation to meet and exceed any electrical need or requirement. Jackson Electric's expertise even includes phone systems, data systems, LED lighting systems, fire alarm systems, and